Welcome to the West Pole Podcast. I'm your host, Sonny Allen, and today I'm joined by my wonderful land specialist team, Tyler Helbing, Grant Bowles, and Andrea Angel. And we're going to talk about land and ranch real estate today. And we're going to talk about, what it means to us, to the concept of the West Pole. And, the West Pole has, been something that I have been affectionate about for a long time. And it's basically that God-given aspiration that we have to be in the outdoors. I think it's in everybody. I say it's in all of us. It's different for some people. And we have all got a connection to the outdoors. And how that ties into what we do is everyone wants to be out on land that they own. And whether it's a 5-acre ranchette or a 500-acre hunting ranch, we all have aspirations to own a piece of the land that we can actually get out and enjoy and do whatever it is that we like to do to connect with nature. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And I want my teammates here who I get to work with. They're amazing. I want them to introduce themselves and tell a little bit about their background and what they do. Tyler, why don't you go first?
Tyler Helbing. I've been in Dripping Springs for a few months now. I finally found my way out of Austin.
Welcome to the hood.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Tyler's right down the road from you now.
Yeah, which is awesome. And I mean, I was driving, oh my gosh, over an hour just to get to work every day, being in North Austin. So
and then you have to drive once you drive to work.
Exactly. Yeah, and then you have to drive once you drive to work. Exactly. So being in Dripping Springs has been a huge blessing. I graduated from Texas A&M a couple years ago now, which seems crazy to think about, and I've had the blessing to be a land specialist over the past year and a half with West Pole.
Tyler has been doing so amazing. He's been closing deals, and he's had some big boy real estate experiences early in his career, and I'm so proud of the job that he has done, and just can't wait to see what the future holds for you.
I appreciate it.
So you grew up with a family ranch, and you've got a very unique background, having grown up kind of in an urban setting, but having that right place to go with your family.
Right.
Tell us about what's your West Pole? How does that tie into your heartfelt experience in the ranch real estate business? How does that affect you?
Yeah, absolutely. I think growing up in that urban environment has allowed me to...
In Dallas, yeah.
To connect to the new wave of buyers that we have been seeing since after COVID. Because a lot of the times, I know you've alluded to it, I didn't necessarily get to see it, but most of your clients were looking for ranch land for their cattle or for a hunting property. Right. And now we have this new wave of buyers who live in the city and then want to be able to escape on the weekends.
Yeah.
Right. And I kind of got to live that growing up, right? We would do our normal Dallas things during the week, go to school, etc. And then on the weekends, we'd escape out to the lake or out to the ranch, which was such a blessing and a revival over the weekend and give me enough fuel to go take on the week again in Dallas.
Yeah.
Right. And now my West Pole has become fly fishing and hunting for me, specifically bow hunting.
Yeah.
I got to spend this past week, unfortunately outside of Texas, in Colorado elk hunting.
Bless your heart.
And
really sucks.
Getting to experience God's creation and getting to connect with creation and animals in such a way through bow hunting and fly fishing has become my West Pole.
Yeah.
So truly just being in nature in general. Growing up, it was living in Dallas and getting to escape on the weekends.
Yeah.
And now it's more of a continued lifestyle for me of living in the outdoors. Me and Maddie are blessed enough, my wife, Maddie, to live on 20 acres and get to live that lifestyle more day in and day out.
Yeah. And I think there's a message in that to parents who are raising children who want to have that place in the country, whether it's a small place or a big place or whatever it is, but to be able to raise your kids having those weekend excursions, whether it's a full-time place you live or a place you go on the weekend, but getting your kids outdoors and connected with nature and having those experiences growing up it really does have an impact on a young person growing up and how they look at the world once they've had those experiences outdoors.
Absolutely. I mean, me growing up, just the community aspect and the family time that comes along with getting to go out to the ranch, right? It's just you and your family. When you're back home, it's easy to get caught up in life, work, and the day in and days out. But when you're at the ranch, it's up to you.
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
Yeah.
Right? And having those memories of Thanksgiving, Christmas, getting to sit as a family at the table, and the bonding that occurred. I mean, my best memories from growing up were at the ranch.
Yep, exactly.
Right? Not in Dallas.
Yep.
And I think there's something to that. And as a potential ranch buyer, you have the ability to give your family that growing up.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a legacy
attainable
thing. Yeah, it's
too.
a legacy thing. So yeah.
Absolutely.
So Grant, tell us about yourself and what's your West Pole and how does this all tie together for you?
Yep. I also live in Dripping Springs, but I am not from Dallas. I was born and raised in Dripping Springs. My family's in custom home building, so we've kind of bounced around the area. Never left the Dripping School District, but moved a lot. Got the opportunity to live on nothing big, but always was on acreage, much kind of like what you're talking about. I mean, I wore the wheels off my four-wheeler, and
right.
I can't tell you how many rocks I picked up
Yep.
and ditches dug,
Yeah. And
I think my dad did that on purpose.
Yeah, and I know your sister always had like a plethora of animals running around. So.
Yeah, all the animals. So, that's, like you said, for kids these days, I mean, that's all I could hope to give mine in the future. So my family's been around the Central Texas area since the 1850s. So I feel like I have a pretty good idea and knowledge of the area and the different land aspects, as well as seen a lot of growth, a lot of changes. But my West Pole these days is it's being outdoors. It's hunting, not as big as fishermen as you guys, but hiking, camping. But for me, it's not a solo thing. I want to be with people. I want to enjoy that with anybody I can, friends, family, because it's that bonding like Tyler talked about. I mean,
the camaraderie, that's a big part of it.
I'm not going to go out and, trek on my own for 10 days. I would probably do fine, but I want to experience that with somebody and with people, and whether it's, backpacking or deep country in the mountains or just around a campfire at an RV. I mean, just being out there and talking and sharing a drink and sharing stories after the day of hunting or just messing around on the ranch. I mean, that's what I like to do, and that's what draws me out there.
You basically grew up in the real estate business because your dad has been a home builder.
Yeah, in a way.
And you've been around real estate deals and all that. How long have you actually, had a license and been selling property?
Coming up on 3 years.
Yep.
Before that, I worked in oil and gas as a landman, which really not
great experience.
Yeah, not so different. I bought and sold mineral rights, and that's a subsurface, and now I do surface. Yeah, kind of the same thing, just a different product.
Right.
So
that's invaluable experience for what we do.
Sure. So, I mean, we don't see it too much, around the Dripping Austin area, but I mean, I've been showing properties out, Caldwell. There's
it's a topic, whether it's relevant to the area or not, it's a topic that comes up on just about every land deal because people want to know what they're getting and what rights come with that property. So it's important to know whether there's activity or not. So that's good
and what
experience.
That means, or if there's a pipeline going through a property, what does that look like? What what happens with that? Well, someone's got ownership and someone has to take care of it. It doesn't have to be you. So.
I'm constantly impressed with your thoroughness and your attention to detail and how organized you are. What drives that? What is behind that keeps you on such a good focused track?
Undiagnosed OCD. Yeah. No, that's probably a father thing too. He's quite like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. It has. I do say undiagnosed a little bit because it does things really bother me.
Yeah.
If it's out of order, or when people are. Like we've talked about in previous podcasts, when I can't get the information I need, like it's not a hard thing to do. Yeah. And so I try to make sure that I'm as thorough so that I'm not presenting that to somebody else.
It's actually easier to do it right. Isn't it?
Yes, exactly. So my cleanliness and organization it makes me happy. So
it's just such a good trait to have in our business. And it, sometimes us sales guys, we're a little bit, scattered, and I just have always admired that about you. And Grant's been with our team now for almost 2 years, and he's achieved senior land specialist already. He's closed some really important deals for our team, and we are just amazingly blessed to get to work with you. So
I love it.
Glad to have you. So we're saving the best for last. And Andrea, tell us about yourself.
Yes, Andrea Angel here. Live just a little bit west of all these guys in Johnson City, Texas, previously in Dripping Springs, but we live out there on 60 acres. I have 2 little ones, a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, and they keep me really busy right now, but we're lucky enough to live on a nice little piece of God's creation, 60 acres, and let our kids run loose, all day long, and I think it's really good character building for them. They're out there building stuff, using their imagination, and playing a little rough sometimes, and I feel like it's just great for him,
Such a great environment to raise children.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it is. I feel very blessed, and just feels very peaceful out there, and I love our area. It's growing a lot, and, it's a little smaller than Dripping Springs, but we love it.
What's your West Pole?
Basically that. I mean, you guys hit the mark on it so well, but to expand on it for me, it's really where time slows down. Yes. So even when we're on just our 60 acres, we do have another property in Llano that's a little bigger, but even just on our home property, when we take our evening walks and everything is super quiet, and the phones are back at home, and you don't see another car, and all you're really hearing is the breeze, and you're looking at the trees and seeing the sunset. So just our life is busy, especially with little kids. So anytime you can kind of tap into that slower pace, it's the dream. It's my West Pole for sure.
Exactly. And we're actually recording this from your family's ranch in South Texas, and we're going to do a little team dove hunting later today, and we're excited about that. So
it's going to be a great team building experience for sure.
We get to experience our West Poles.
Blue skies, guys. Blue skies.
Together, yeah. And thank you for having us here. It's such a beautiful place. But tell us about your real estate background and your experience, and kind of how you evolved to where you are today.
Yeah, you're such a big part of that story, right? Because
that's why I asked.
Just talking about himself.
Yeah, so when my now husband and I first started dating, well, we'd known each other for a long time. That's another story for another day. But we wanted to buy a place in the hill country, and we looked everywhere from Bandera, Dripping Springs, Blanco. I mean, everywhere in the hill country, we pretty much looked at a ranch. But the very first property we saw was with Sonny as the listing agent on a property that we went to see.
We were so young.
And we were young, and we thought we knew everything. We had a lot to learn. But we ended up buying a place in Dripping Springs. This is over 10 years ago now, and just became lifelong friends with Sonny.
Yes.
And we started doing more and more real estate investing. I was not an agent at the time, and eventually it was like, this is what we're called to do, I think. And I needed to get my license, and fast forward, Sonny, ended up building a team, West Pole, and here I am working alongside with Sonny. But it's been a really cool story how that's all progressed.
Being a part of this evolution has been such an important thing for me, and you're like family. And seeing how you have done so well with the properties that you've done, you have such a talent, such a God-given ability to take something and make it so special. And it's just been fun to watch that. It's been a blessing, to get to work with you, and honored. Very honored.
It's a lot of fun. I feel the same, and I can't take all the credit. My husband is, he has such a gift for it as well.
Yeah, he does. He's like a visionary when it comes to ranches. He can see stuff in ranches that most people can't see, and I try to explain that a lot, because a lot of times there's something there. You just got to see past all the brush or the lack of improvement, and BC is really amazing at making something special, and you can turn a house into a home in like I've never seen before. So
I love that. I think ability. That we're a great team, because he has a real gift for land. He's grown up on big land his whole life, and so he's taught me a lot. just through our personal projects, and then continues to do so even, just almost as a consultant with my transactions. And I do think that we have a gift for bringing someone to a property that would otherwise be an ugly duckling to them that they wouldn't even consider.
Exactly.
And showing them, hey, like, these are the possibilities here.
Yes.
You could get a pretty good buy on this if you can just look past these cedar trees or this old house that just needs to be torn down or renovated or whatever it is. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
And you've been licensed now how many years? How long have you been?
I'm right at about 5 or something.
Yeah, been a while now.
I think about 5.
Yeah. And you've handled some pretty big transactions, and you've actually personally bought and sold quite a few properties, and you've actually represented some higher end clients. What do you feel like is, like, as a team, like, what do we bring that you feel like helps you in order to facilitate that?
Well, you have a lot of years experience, so I always kind of throw that out to people. My broker has worked in specifically land for over 30 years, right?
42.
42.
Yeah. He's really, really old.
But then I think one of the biggest things for me personally, and there's such truth to it, I just am so passionate about people experiencing what we have experienced on land, and how we've grown, and we've done our own transactions. So, even if someone's hesitant, there's just no better investment. Financially and for your personal life. So quality of life. So, I just feel like I can really be honest with people, and I only like to do what I would do, for people. So I think that comes through.
I think it's kind of interesting to point out that with West Pole, as a good example, we're in the relationship business. You guys started out as not even clients, on different sides of the transaction.
Yep.
And we're still together, now part of the team. I mean, Sonny, how many people have you worked with that are now friends? I mean, we're not just in it for the one and done.
Right.
It's a whole could be a lifelong thing. Yeah, it's a relationship business.
I love the term enduring relationships.
Right.
And that's what we're out to build. It's not about selling somebody something. It's about building a relationship that lasts forever. And then, in the course of that, we
prime example.
So
exactly. And I mean, truly, there's a decent amount of pressure to make sure that someone's investment is a sustaining investment that's going to bring them a lot of joy. We never want someone to get into a property that they regret buying.
Yeah, my worst nightmare is sell somebody something that they later regret.
Exactly.
I use the term, we're not salespeople, we're servants. And then in that process, we're going to educate and guide our clients. And right now is a great example. We're in September of 2023, coming off of one of the most hottest, driest summers ever, the second year of a major drought. The economy's changed, the market's changed. We've been in this downturn now for over 24 months, or I guess going on 24 months. And, it's that time where our expertise and our experience really can set us apart, because in the past few years, when the market was booming, there were a lot of people jumping into business, and a lot of them have never seen this before. And, being able to guide our clients as we go through this slower market, there's still a lot of buyers, there's still a lot of sellers. It's harder to negotiate, getting people to agree on terms, because people still have unrealistic expectations on both sides. And, being able to utilize the higher standard marketing that we bring to the table, as well as the negotiation skills, as well as being able to have the plethora of connections that we have over time established in the marketplace, and then having an operational staff and a full-time marketing staff that can really take care of our clients in a way that I really don't see other groups providing. I think that's so important.
For sure.
And in a market like this too, I think most of the deals we've done recently have been off market.
A lot of off market stuff. Yeah.
So in a time like this, working with someone like us, if you're interested and you've seen everything out there, doesn't mean that's everything that's out there.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And as we go forward, who knows what's gonna comment, we've got an election coming up next year. There's a lot of uncertainty. We've got high rates, relatively high rates. I keep telling people
higher than the 80s.
I started in the 80s. I've seen high interest rates, and these aren't them yet. They're
adjustment for people.
compared to the 3% we got spoiled with forever. But we still are struggling with an economy that's sputtering, and I think that just the fact that there's uncertainty out there. But I've been through 4 big major downturns in my career, and I've always kind of seen the same characteristics in rural land, especially. You can't say this for residential or commercial, but rural properties typically hold their own. And the reason is the majority of these ranches we serve are owned by higher net worth people or families that are generational, where there's no debt. And those people will stay the course. Some of them may want to sell, but if they can't get a number that they can walk away with and feel good and go do whatever else they want to do, okay, I'll just hang on to it. And, that on the other side, you've got buyers coming in trying to, it's in the tank, I can lowball and whatever. And no, that doesn't work either. So somewhere in the middle, there's a range there. And what I like to explain to people is, if your price is too high, there's nothing that we or any other broker can do to help you. If your price is too low, you don't need me. You'll have people knocking on your door to pay that price. But in the middle of those two extremes, there's a range of value that, you want to be as a seller at the top of that range. And our marketing and our expertise and our negotiation skill, that's what we do, is we help our clients get the highest in that range that they possibly get. And then, on the buy side, being able to go out there and network with a community of brokers that, we've built up this, great reputation with over the years, and being able to call up somebody and go, hey, this is what I'm looking for. Do you know of anything? Is there anything coming soon? And, being able to get ahead of that MLS process, where, we find out about it, for our client before anybody else does. Right. Those are all the value adds that we bring to the table. And, as we explore our West Poles and try to connect with other people with their West Poles and help people acquire property to live out their dreams on, it's not always the same. And we're very tuned into that. And I think, your story is a good example of that, having that family ranch, but, growing up in the city. And, more and more we're dealing with those types of buyers where traditionally, over my career, I've worked with a lot of people who basically grew up outdoor. They might be doctors or lawyers, but they grew up somewhere where they hunted and fished and all that stuff. And, being able to connect with people on that level where we're able to provide a service to them, educate them, to bring them along. And then after the close, we stay connected. It doesn't end, it's enduring. And we offer concierge services to people like, hey, I need somebody to build a road, or who do I call to get my water well, or who do I call to build my house, or, how do I manage my wildlife, right. How do I take care of my ag or wildlife exemption, that kind of stuff. Being able to stay as a resource and stay connected to that. So how would you describe your experiences being on the team, since you're our youngest team member? And I've just seen Tyler do so much in such a short time. It's been fascinating because Tyler...
he definitely gets his boots on the ground, I would say, which is awesome.
And, Tyler has a cool story because he came out of A&M with plans to go in the military. And then COVID created a health problem that he wasn't able to go through with that. And he had to make a diversion, and that diversion was into real estate. But at the time, it was commercial real estate, and that's where you actually started. And then you were able to recognize right off the bat that, hey, this is kind of stale and stuff. I'm sitting in an office all day, and
right.
It's not me, And
right.
then you migrated into that. How does that affect you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think for a long time, my dream was to always obviously get to serve in the military. And when that didn't work out, I remember sitting down with my dad in Dallas and saying, okay, what's the most viable path for me moving forward? What would I be good at? right? I studied political science in college. I was going to the military. I had my 5-year plan. And usually, you know, when you tell the Lord your plan, he usually laughs at it, which is exactly what happened in my life.
Yeah.
But it was an interesting transition. So I was lucky enough to make my way into real estate development, private equity world, where we did ground up multifamily development, right? And I was pitched the job from a standpoint of you'll get to interact with clients, you'll get to work with investors. And I was like, oh, perfect. I'm extroverted. I like people. This is going to be great. Yeah. You know, 5 million hours on Excel later, I just hit the point where I said, okay, I was passionate about going into the military. I want to do something I'm passionate about again. And when I was able to take a step back and look around, I said, okay, what am I passionate about? I love Texas. I love going to my family's ranch. I love working with people, and I do enjoy real estate, which is how I was lucky enough to segue into the ranch real estate world and finally combine all my passions again, right? And you provided that opportunity for me, and got to meet you at Pigpen in Dripping Springs via a really good friend of ours.
Barbecue again.
Yeah, always. Gosh, it's always barbecue. Barbecue, and then a little bit of Mexican food.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm so proud of the success you've had and what you've done, and
I appreciate it.
It's so hard for young people. I got my license when I was 18, and went to college, and got out with complete different plans. And then when those plans didn't work out, I ended up, moving to Austin and diving into the real estate business at a young age. And it really takes special skills and determination, because it's hard at a young age to get people to take you seriously. And it's hard to be, I guess in our world, you have to self-educate, you have to self-motivate, you have to get up and hustle. And it's not an 8 to 5 job. It's more like a 7 to 7 job. And having that grind, but just seeing your hustle and seeing how hard you work has been such a blessing. And I'll say the same about you. I complimented your organizational skills and how you conduct yourself, and how totally I would say committed. That's the word for you, is just commitment. And then Andrew has, such a vision and such a talent with properties from personal experience, stuff that you've done. And, I know some of the stuff didn't work the way you wanted to, so you learn and you go back and you do it better the next time, and, being able to do that. But then, I can't say enough how blessed I am to have you guys, that, I get to work with you. And it's been a complete honor to me. And as we go down this West Pole Road and explore how we can help integrate our experience and our talents into other people's lives, and helping them accomplish their West Poles through property ownership, land ownership, ranch ownership, whatever it is, or just helping educate people for, long-term planning. I hope we have listeners that are aspiring landowners that trying to get there. That's okay. We want to be a resource, to you too. And that's really what the whole purpose of this podcast comes down to, is helping other people, putting content out there that's valuable, interesting, hopefully entertaining at times, but having something that is valuable to the people who are listening to us, whether they're hoping to buy something someday, or whether they've already bought something, they're trying to figure out how to manage it, or whether, they're at another phase of life where it's time to maybe transition and let that property go. We want to be a resource for that in any way we can. So is there anything else y'all would like to add before we wrap up?
It's pretty good for today.
Yeah, it's been good. Thank y'all so much for taking the time to be here. Again, I love every one of you, and I'm just so blessed that we get to work together. And to our listeners out there, I would say, just keep tuning in. We're gonna put out some good content that's gonna help you, no matter what phase you're in. And we've enjoyed our day. Thank you for taking time to listen. And whatever it is, whatever pulls you toward the outdoors, go do it, and go West Pole. We'll see you next time.